I remember when the pandemic first hit, I and many others were just thrilled to not have to go into the office every day. I was planning all the things I was going to do in my free time, not having to get dressed for the day, doing work in my pajamas. I was thinking life was good. Then reality hit and realized, one, this pandemic is much more serious than we all thought, and two, the current lifestyle I'm having, such as working in my pajamas, is simply unsustainable. I started to miss my work friends and the small chit-chat we would have over our lunch breaks. I missed wearing a tie and pants and looking all put together. Man, I even started to miss my little cubicle. And that's when I realized we as humans need face-to-face interaction. Sure, we might be able to get our tasks done on our laptops at home, but there are so many more elements of the workplace that benefit the worker and in turn, the company. Working in a physical office offers a sense of purpose, creates a space for collaboration, and invites you to an existing culture. All of this is simply unattainable from working individually at home. Going into an office helps to understand the purpose of what you are doing, because you can see others around you all working towards that same common goal. Having the ability to collaborate and share ideas with coworkers is so beneficial and improves everyone and everything. And being part of a positive office work culture is not only great for company success, but also personal success and mental well-being. Creating work friends and establishing a culture at the office is something many people have forgotten since this pandemic, and it is important to realize how beneficial it actually was for us to work in person. One huge skill I lost since the transition to working remotely was my time management. While this certainly varies from person to person, I found myself often losing track of deadlines and not working at the appropriate pace when I am at home. At the office, I had fewer distractions, had a set start and end time, and knew exactly what I needed to get done and when. On top of this, my interpersonal skills have been wiped away since the transition to remote working. The forced communication, professional behavior, and mannerisms that we all used to complain about, I've come to realize were integral in our ability to interact with one another and create simple conversation. Finally, working in an office allows you and your hard work to be recognized, and networking opportunities are to be had in the office space. Being at work each day and doing a great job allows for superiors to physically witness the work an employee is putting in, which allows for them to progress in their careers and in the company. Now, with all this being said, what we can take away from this pandemic is that flexibility and freedom in work schedules can offer so much for companies and employees. As I have repeatedly stated how important face-to-face interactions and physical meetings are, I ultimately believe the idea of flex time and offering working spaces outside the office can offer the greatest return on investment, as it combines the necessity of being in an office with the creativity and freedom offered through the flex time schedule. Up next, my friend Jeff is going to talk further in depth on the idea of a flexible work schedule. Take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Jack, for giving us that personal look on what has changed in the idea of working from the office. I think the obvious question that is in all our minds right now is the idea of the office bound to change? If COVID has taught us anything, it is how fast things can change overnight and why we need to be adaptable and evolve with such change. Firstly, the modern 9-to-5 workday is so last century. It was invented in the 1800s and went mainstream in the Henry Ford's era in the 1920s. Historians argue that employers have simply accepted this as a norm because we've become so accustomed to it. But this is not the 1800s, and I doubt even Henry Ford will have been able to fathom the level of flexibility that the computing revolution has brought forth. Consider how the conversation of a typical work week has changed, for example. We all know that everybody hates Mondays. Wednesdays, hump day. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF, baby. Studies show that employees have become increasingly frustrated with the traditional rota, and COVID-19 was proof that such programs are outdated and unnecessary in this era. So is it not time we switch to flexible work schedules? The glamorization of a lack of work-life balance has changed with the millennial generation. And as companies consider perks to appeal to them, flexible work schedules rank among the top. A study done by the Deloitte's Millennial Survey in 2016 found that 2/3 of millennials expect to quit their jobs by 2020 for two main reasons. One, dissatisfaction with work-life balance, and two, a desire for flexibility. Now fast forward to 2020, 83% of workers surveyed by PwC of both millennial and boomer generations expressed a desire to work from home at least one day a week. According to a study done in May 2021 by HomeDate of 1,378 Americans, 52% were willing to take a pay cut to work remotely, 49% would quit if there was no hybrid environment, and 45% would quit completely if they couldn't work remotely full-time. Change can be scary, costly even, but it is necessary in a world where the only thing that does not change is change itself. Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of the UK in the World War II era, and ironically, a workaholic who used to work 18-hour workdays and begin making early morning phone calls in bed, once said, "To improve is to change, and to be perfect is to change often." With the current outlook of COVID vaccines campaigns approaching their limits, and variants raising concerns of how soon we'll be able to get COVID-19 in control, change to flexible work schedules is not only necessary, but it is inevitable. So, does the idea of the office need to change? Perhaps the best person to ask about this is Tyler. Tyler, please, take it away.
Thanks, Jeff, for talking about the need for change. But as we know, not all change is good change. Now, I want to talk about The Office. And I'm not referring to the hit TV show that ran for 9 seasons on NBC and is now on Peacock TV where nobody sees it. I'm referring to the increasingly obsolete physical space where business is conducted. The physical layout of our business dwellings has changed and shifted a lot over the years. So I want to do an exercise right now where you close your eyes. Go ahead, actually close them, and picture an office. What do you see? How are the desks organized? Are there walls? Do you see stand from accounting? Do you see cubicles? If you're over the age of 50, you probably picture something like this. You picture cubicles for every employee and big, dark, closed-off rooms for your superiors. Maybe there's a water cooler in the distance for those brief encounters. And if you're in your 30s, you most likely picture something like this. A vast, open area with a lot of face-to-face contact with all your closest peers. We've been led to believe that the latter, New Age office is the workspace of the future. It gives us ease of collaboration, and collaboration is innovation. But maybe these New Age tech billionaires have it wrong. In a study named Coding War Games, conducted by Tom DeMarco and Timothy Lister, they took 600 computer developers, from 92 different companies. They're all tasked with designing, coding, and testing a program while still working in their offices. The purpose was to identify the characteristics of the best and worst computer programmers. When all said and done, the best outperformed the worst by a 10-to-1 ratio. While trying to discover the insane range of results, the factors you might expect to influence outcomes were not strongly correlated, such as experience, salary, or time spent working on that task. One thing the researchers did discover was that the programmers from the same company performed more or less at the same level, and the top performers overwhelmingly worked for companies that gave them the most privacy and personal space. These findings point us to a conclusion that maybe our open concept, collaboration-obsessed bosses do not have it right, though their enthusiasm stems from an honest place. After the advent of the internet, we learned the power of collaboration with the creation of things like Wikipedia, Linux, Change.org, etc. These are all platforms where people from all over the world joined forces and created helpful tools for the masses. So businesses started rallying around the fact that none of us is as good as all of us, or I work is turning into we work. This mindset change also led to the change in physical office spaces that we see now. But what these businesses fail to understand is, yes, collaboration is important, but doing it through the web is a lot different than in person. Behind a screen, there's a certain degree of anonymity and privacy. The crowdsourced effort to make Wikipedia probably would have not happened if you placed all those people in an office together. When you tear down all the office walls, you subject your workers to the pressures, distractions, and noises of peers. It takes people off task and makes them alert, whether we realize it or not. Being in crowded spaces takes away from the thing that helps us create, which is freedom to think and be alone with our thoughts. Open plan office structures that were inspired by the internet are increasingly being proven to, at the very least, not increase efficiency or ideas. But maybe we're learning a better way forward, and that is the digital office, which is what Sophia will now be talking about.
During this summer of 2021, much discussion has been had about remote workers and students returning to their respective physical spaces. The future is uncertain, especially during the times of the COVID-19 pandemic, and thus many people are bringing forth their experiences and opinions regarding working remotely over the past year and a half. As reflected in Ed Zitron's article, Why Managers Fear a Remote Work Future, and Derek Thompson's Winners and Losers of the Work from Home Revolution, the pro-office return argument is overwhelmingly considering the effect on workplace culture and the experience of being face-to-face, or cubicle to cubicle. Today, I will explain how online work effectively parallels the in-person experience while using examples from my personal context. First, the engagement level expected of an online participant is the same, if not more demanding, than in-person discussion. Due to the lack of ability to communicate with body language, some gestures, and eye contact, participants in the discussion must supplement their communication. This is often done through visual aids, such as the common video chat feature Share Your Screen. Also, the limitation of physical space in terms of fitting people into one room is completely eliminated. Dozens of participants can be in the same room, online that is. This ability presents the opportunity to take a greater volume of questions or ideas into the spotlight, as does the chat feature. Participants are able to get their thoughts out without having to interrupt the designated speaker. This online engagement expectation isn't only present during live meetings, but also during independent work time. Multiple schools and offices employ the use of productivity tracking software to ensure one's computer is truly on and being engaged with. My personal experience with online tracking software has been with a popular exam proctoring program called HonorLock. HonorLock employs face tracking technology as well as complete supervision of browser and network activity. The software uses this to determine if a student is opening other browsers, pages, desktops, or screens, so HonorLock can eliminate the ability to cheat while a student isn't being directly supervised. Clearly, softwares are able to completely mimic the over-the-shoulder monitoring element that inevitably comes with in-person office work. The second argument often presented in favor of personal physical workspaces is that work culture is compromised. I disagree. Highlighted by Ed Zitron of The Atlantic, what workplace culture? Zitron poses the legitimately challenging question to managers, what would you be preserving? Be specific. Employees are realizing that online work is just work. Employees who worked from home over the past year have become cognizant of the fact that they were just doing the same exact computer work in a different physical space. With that realization, it becomes increasingly clear that the use of a physical office space, as well as the incredibly annoying commute there, isn't necessary. Work can be the same online and in person for some jobs, or at least certain aspects of them. I argue that our population should embrace the ability to work from home online as it strongly parallels our in-office experience through computer tracking to ensure work is being done, as well as management's ability to monitor employees' work. Gavin will now speak about employees' mental health during working from home.
Hi, I'm Gavin Gasparo, and I'm going to talk about some of the real-world examples of our concept. No matter if we are working from our homes or face-to-face, it is vital that employees have the freedom to work within their own schedule. And with COVID-19 still negatively affecting everyone across the world, There has never been a more crucial time to be concerned about employees' mental health. The information previously provided about how flex time can greatly benefit employees can relate very well to events happening today. For example, a new schedule was implemented in the Netherlands that consisted of a 4-day work week instead of the traditional 5. It is thought that technological advances can make it possible for employees to accomplish the same amount of work in less time and still ensure customers are supported. One of the benefits seen with a 4-day work week in regards to the Netherlands is that there is an increase in productivity between employees. And this is backed up by this graph shown right next to me, and it shows that there is a clear correlation between lower work hours and higher employee productivity. And this next bar graph, I just added in because I thought it was very interesting. It shows that 67% of employees would prefer a 4-day work week versus 21% saying they'd rather stick with the traditional 5-day work week. And then going back into the productivity part, not only did their work become more efficient, but employees also showed improvements in job satisfaction, teamwork, work and life balance, and company loyalty. Employee stress levels also decreased from 45% to 38%. Institutions that studied a 4-day work week also noted that it promotes an equal workplace, as employees would be able to spend more time with their families and better juggle care and work commitments. Also, a 4-day work week can lead to a happier and more committed employee. Employees are less likely to be stressed or take sick leave as they have plenty of time to rest and recover. As a result, they return to work feeling ready to take on new challenges. And then in this pie graph image I found on the internet, it shows how 44% of employees strongly agree that their productivity would be improved by a 4-day work week, and 29% would just agree that it would increase. And these are people who haven't even tried out the new concept, so that's saying a lot. And one of the most important findings of a 4-day work week study is that there is a significant drop in the carbon footprint of the companies that implemented this new schedule. With global warming becoming more and more prominent, it's key that the population as a whole is taking the necessary steps to preserve our ecosystems. After reading about the Netherlands, I was curious to see if a 4-day schedule was tested anywhere from the United States. So I kept digging for a state that has tried this new schedule and came across an article that explained how a project in Utah initiated a 4-day work week for the government of employees. The results were exactly the same as those noted in the Netherlands. The article even mentioned how after the first 10 months, the project in Utah saved over $1.8 million in energy costs and reduced their carbon emissions by 6,000 metric tons. Along with that, employees also felt way more relaxed and they actually looked forward to their jobs. It is truly amazing that all these benefits came about from companies giving their employees flexible schedules. This demonstrates how a concept as simple as giving an employee an extra day off can have a very positive impact on the company. Thank you.